Hello. Hello, everybody. Leslie Tagorda here. Let's see. I'm going to wait a few seconds while people start to come on. Let's see. I'm going to get another screen up. Oh, hello. When you come on, will you please say hello so I know who's here? Happy first quarter moon. Hello, Rita. Hello, Rita and Asha. Oh my gosh. Okay, ladies, I'm so glad that both of you guys are here. So look at my beautiful new blue kyanite. Um, I've been taking my medicine and doing my own healing work. Hello, Jenna. Aloha. It's not just me about like telling people what to do, but it's me. Mostly everything that I tell you guys what to do is telling myself what to do. I'm taking my own medicine. So I have been on this kind of like healing journey, looking at my roots. And, Rita and Asha, both of you guys gave me the same medicine, which was to feel more and ground more and like step into my feet more. So I have been doing that. And this little guy here, I've been sleeping with this. I don't know where I put my the citrine is in my pocket. So everybody here, if you guys want a healing session, Rita is so awesome. She helped me with this. And then Asha gave me a session on mentorship and helped me kind of get some of my messaging a little bit more clear and better. So wonderful. Hello, Nikki. Welcome. Oh my gosh. So let's do a really quick recap. I don't know how people are going to sign in. So, as people come in, I will be answering our moon questions. I have everybody's moon questions that you've put up on different posts. Jeff was able to compile all those things for me in one centralized document. So I'll go through all of those questions. And excuse me. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the astrology for the week because this is another big week of astro weather. Holy smokes. Mm. So, hello, as you are coming in, please say hello so I know who's here. And let's just start off with astrology, right? So on Saturday, Mars moved into his home sign of Aries. And let's just say that, right? Thanks for Jeff, because oh my gosh, if Jeff wasn't here like organizing me and getting me grounded, I have no idea what would happen. So, if you have your handy dandy calendar from the Savvy Luminary as a download, you'll see that this last week is like packed with things, right? So on Saturday, Mars went into its home sign of Aries, which is, not normally a big deal. But Mars is going to be in its home sign of Aries all the way until January, because Mars is going to be going retrograde later on in September. It's going to be retrograde for 2 months, and that's normal. Mars going retrograde is normal. It happens, every year and a half or so. When Mars goes retrograde, we get to reconsider things that motivate us, right? But because Mars is going to be in this kind of his home sign of Aries, where he gets a lot of things done, he gets a lot of momentum. We've already been feeling this momentum, right? Like, who woke up like excited to start the week this week? I did. That is very, very, very different than it's been for a while. Now, part of it, not just Mars and Aries, but part of it is because we also have first quarter moon, right? First quarter moon, actually, for next week's podcast episode, I'll be talking about working with the moon sign and not moon sign. We talked about working with the moon sign, and that's what I'll be answering questions about, but working with moon phases, because we want to work with the alignment of the moon. Mother Nature does, so why shouldn't we to be more effective, right? So next week's podcast is all going to be about working with moon phases. I'll be talking about that. But first quarter moon happened yesterday on the 28th. And first quarter moon is basically a square between the sun and the moon. And so anytime we have a square, there's this energy, there's this wanting to release. If you're a musician, if you ever play like say like a dominant chord leading to a root chord, or a 4 chord leading to a 5 chord leading to a 1 chord, those 4 and those 5 chords, those the predominant and dominant chords, those are like squares. They want to resolve, right? They want to push things forward. So it's really awesome to think about our moon phases yesterday being this square, being this energy. So we have Mars in Aries, we have the first quarter moon. So we should be feeling lots and lots of motivation, right? Yes, Nikki says, wanting to know more about working with the moon phases. Wonderful. So, I mean, can I get a show of hands or hearts? Like, who here feels like actually kind of motivated for the first time in a few weeks? I know I have. And I would also love to hear who had a chance to listen to the latest episode in the Savvy Luminary about 5 ways to use your moon sign in your brand. If you could give me some hearts or yeses in the comments. I don't know if these comments are, I feel like there's a delay. Oh, hello, Eva. I got your, yep, perfect. There may or may not be a delay in these comments. So, another thing, big thing astrologically, before I jump into the questions, is later on today, Jupiter and Pluto will be meeting exactly in the sky in Capricorn. Now, we've been feeling this for a little bit already. This will be the second of 3 meetings of Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn in 2020, right? You've been hearing me talk about 2020 and this crazy seismic shift of the year. And at this midpoint in the summer, all of the crazy shifts, if you want to review, let me know about the timeline for 2020. We're right at the pivot of it. It's just like absolutely crazy. We have a full moon eclipse coming up on July 4th and 5th on the birthday of the United States. Um, I expect there to be a lot more, hopefully, peaceful protests. Change has been happening, and I'm really excited. I'm very hopeful for all the wonderful things that we're going to be moving into and healing on a collective basis. So let's talk about this healing thing. Oh, look. Hello, Karen. Yay, you're feeling it. Rita, listen to part of it. Nikki, awesome. So let's talk about healing for a minute, right? In the very beginning, I said that I have been doing my own healing. We've been talking a lot about healing because we are in the middle of Mercury retrograde. Tomorrow is the midway point. I'll do a little post about what the second half of Mercury retrograde, what we're meant to be being mindful about during the second half. And we're in Cancer season, and it's all about healing, right? And we know that with healing, I talked about healing, this place of, we have to make space to feel emotionally secure to heal. And I've been doing my work. I've been taking some really deep dives. I worked with Rita Taylor here. She's this beautiful resonance healer. If you ever need anything to get your vibrations in harmony, like I think getting them harmonized, talk to Rita. I had a mentorship with Asha, who is helping me kind of fine tune my messaging and how I show up and talk about astrology. Because of course my astrology, I'm a very in-depth astrologer. I study it, I live it, I'm constantly thinking about it. But not all of you are, and I'm talking to you as if you are. I'm talking to you as if you know as much astrology as I do, and so I need to kind of simplify it and meet you guys where you're at. So I've been doing this deep healing work. I also talked to my father. We were talking about ancestral roots and talking about chosen roots, just not just our ancestral roots, but our chosen roots, and how do we heal those things. So I actually talked to my father for about an hour over the weekend, and my father and I are not very close. This is my biological father. He did not raise me. There, of course, you can hear the baggage that I'm still a little bit holding there. I've completely forgiven him. Anyway, the reason why I'm doing all these things is because I'm doing the medicine as well, right? I want to get really clear in my foundation so that I can serve everyone serve everyone better. All right, so let's get into the questions. if you've already posted a question, let's see, who do we have? We have Eva, we have Nikki, we have Karen, we have Rita. Let me just go to my questions and make sure I can answer everybody's questions. Um, since you guys are on first, I don't see questions from any of you guys here in my list that Jeff compiled. So that might have gotten, oh yes, Karen, Asha is amazing. She sees, like she really can visualize people's auras and their energies. And so it's really beautiful working with her in that kind of mentorship capacity as well. So if you guys have moon sign questions, why don't you guys list it here? Because I don't know in my list here, I don't see those questions. So I want to make sure that I prioritize the people that are on board. So Eva, Nikki, Karen, Rita, if any of you guys have any questions, Jenna, if you have any questions, Asha, if you have any questions. Otherwise, oh, I do see yours, Eva. Okay, Eva, your question, you asked, you have a Pisces moon in the 8th house. I too would love to know more about how that helps me woo the right people by sharing what I need to share as Pisces 8th house. What are those strengths and weaknesses that I should both know and talk about openly? Yes. Okay. So, Eva. So, one of the things about our moon sign, right? It's not necessarily part of like our outside brand, right? It's not part of like this visual brand. We don't necessarily need to make our logo colors or anything part of our moon sign unless we desire to. More often than not, we're already operating from our moon sign just because our moon sign is one of our karmic signs. It can be a shadowy kind of sign if we're not really conscious, if we're just like not being really mindful. So Pisces moon, 8th house, super, super powerful because anything that you have in the 8th house, any energy that you have in the 8th house is like highly transformative. And your moon sign being your intuitive and emotional self, right? That's everybody's moon sign is intuitive and emotional. Being in Pisces, and already the sign that encompasses intuition and emotional compassion and empathy. Oh my gosh. So this is a very powerful placement, meaning you probably you're super intuitive already, right? Meaning you can use that intuition and that emotional your ability to transform your own emotions as well as transform your customers' emotions, right? When we look at our moon sign in our brand, it's about understanding our own motivations and understanding our own like um our own needs, right? Because one of the things that especially women are taught to not recognize their own needs, right? We're taught to prioritize everybody else's needs, and then we get resentful or we get upset because our needs aren't getting met. There's so many things that don't happen when we are not meeting our own needs. Now, when we know our moon sign, when we know that your Pisces moon needs to be compassionate, needs to be imaginative, needs to be intuitive, needs the space for deep transformation, right? Like Eva, I'm guessing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing that you're not somebody who just likes to do like just like, chit chat. Like you want to talk deep shit, right? Like you want to talk like what's happening? Like how are your emotions? How are you feeling? Like really what's going on, right? And so knowing that about yourself, that you have this capacity to go really deep, right? Ah, self-love. Yes, that's huge. Like self-love, that's like this very highest expression of the 8th house, right? If we're operating in this shadowy expression of the 8th house, it is not recognizing the way that we need to feel success, the way that we need to um accept ourselves, right? Like I have Venus in Capricorn in the 8th house, and let me tell you, I'm still having trouble acknowledging myself as a spiritual entrepreneur, like as a successful businesswoman. And that's what the 8th house is about, right? So, yes, transformational business coach. Yes, deep stuff. So, in your brand, you asked, how does it help you sharing what you need to share? I it's we look at the 7th house for your ideal customers, and we look at the 3rd house for communication keys, right? And so the things that your moon sign in your 8th house is more of this. It's more of this like your inner flame, how secure you feel to be doing what you're doing, right? So like I said in the podcast, it's something about our moon sign. People don't always necessarily see it. They're not always going to read it. It's not something that we're necessarily advertising and putting out in bright shiny lights, but it's something that we need to feel wholeness within ourselves so that others can get the sense that we're operating from a place of authenticity and truth versus trying to please everybody, right? Like we know what we need inherently, right? So I hope that serves. Nikki says, I have a lovely fiery Leo moon. Yes, but it appears in my seventh house, which is Cancer. So, how do I combine my fierce creativity with the softer emotional stuff that Cancer brings up in the seventh house? That's so beautiful. So, Leo moon in the seventh house, right? So, when we're thinking about our moon as what we need, why we do what we do, and our emotional sense. First, if we just look at our emotional security, looking at the Leo moon in the seventh house, we know that you desire to be recognized as creative. You desire to be in partnership, right? In the seventh house, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I need to be in a relationship or anything like that. In partnership means like working with others, being co-creative, being collaborative, right? Like your moon sign, you naturally your inside, your emotional self feels like, I want to be a collaborator. I want to work with others versus just like by myself, right? And with your seventh house in Cancer, well, yeah, your moon is in the seventh house, but Cancer, if Cancer is the ruler of your seventh house, this just means that the people that you are meant to partner with will embody that Cancerian archetype, that nurturing self. So it's actually kind of this, and your moon is already well, the moon is ruled by Cancer, so it's kind of funny. Yeah, your Leo moon in Cancer, and then the ruler of your seventh house also, um the ruler of your seventh house in your seventh house. Yeah, so you are also meant to be working with seventh house, with people who desire partnerships. Like you're creating collaborative teams, like in a way they feed on top of each other. So what you desire, like your inner workings, your why, is totally related to what you are actually best capable of serving others. Does that make sense, Nikki? To me, it's like, how do you combine your fierce creativity with the softer emotional stuff? I don't think that you need to be to have it like one or the other. Like your fierce creativity is your emotional sense, right? Um so I if you have questions more on that, Nikki, let me know. But I think it's a beautiful placement for your seventh house. Like you're meant to be creating creativity in partnership, helping others find partnership, find relationship. Not it doesn't have to be romantic relationship. It could be teamwork. It could be collaborations. I think that's just wonderful together. So I'm going through excellent, great, Nikki. So Karen, you're up next. And hello, Michelle. Hello, Sybil. You guys aren't late. We're just getting started with the Q&A, so you're not late at all. Karen says, what happens to moon energy when it's part of a yod configuration? Yes, moon in Leo at 7th house, Saturn, Gemini 5th house, and the apex of the yod is Jupiter and North Node conjunction in the 12th house. Does this mean the moon energy is amplified? Let me visualize this. So your moon and your Saturn, they have the relate. So the yod is, if the yod is called the finger of God, and it's made with is it the sext? Let me just draw this up for a second. I just want to get my degrees right. I guess that doesn't really matter in this respect. So it's like 250 degree angles and then 130 degree angle. Okay, so The yod is very special. I haven't yet watched this episode in my astrology school, one of my different astrology schools. There's somebody who talked about all of these quincunxes, in conjunctions. I'm just going to call them in conjunctions. This Q-U-I-N-C-U-N-X. It's the 150-degree angle. And she talks about it as sex and magic, which I was like, ooh. She literally just recorded it on Saturday, and I haven't yet got to watch it. But anytime you have a finger of God or the yod, all of these energies they do work together. So, what happens to moon energy when it's part of the yod? So, there's a relationship between the moon and Saturn. You have opportunities between the moon and Saturn, and they are both feeding just like a lot of innovative energies towards your Jupiter. Jupiter is amplifying this. So, yes, your moon energy is amplified. I would say it would be full blown, but Saturn is also very close to your moon, and it has a tighter angle, just the angle is shorter. So Saturn is also putting the damper on things. Right? um so when you have moon, let me think about this some more. This is a question that like doesn't come to me very quickly. Does this mean the moon energy is amplified? Yes, and Saturn is also damping it. So but moon in Leo, just in the seventh house, similar to Nikki, you just heard me talk about the moon in the seventh house. um and North Node, Jupiter and North Node conjunct in 12th house, Capricorn. Yeah. So, the funny thing with Jupiter and Capricorn, right? We are in a Jupiter and Capricorn season. So you are having a Jupiter return right now. So this is it's, one every 12 years for you, which is a kind of a really auspicious year. It should be a rather expansive year in general because Jupiter is in its home place of Capricorn. But Jupiter in Capricorn tends to not be as expansive because Capricorn is also ruled by Saturn. So it's kind of a more, you have boundaries with Jupiter, right? Like you want to expand, but you don't want to expand too much. And then you have your North Node there. So it's like the need to grow into that responsible expansion to relax. 12th house to bring more ease and flow. So there's a lot of contradictory energies working with that, Karen. I would love to do your chart. This seems super, super interesting that I would need to like actually do more research and do a deep dive into. But anyway, I hope that serves enough because yeah, I would love to look that up more. All right. So great. I'm so glad. All right, Michelle and Sybil. Um, is the moon in the seventh house right now, or just for these two on today's calls? So, seventh house, the moon being in a certain house is going to definitely be dependent on where your rising sign is. It just so happens that for both Karen and Nikki, they had, oh, great, Karen. It just happens for Nikki and Karen, they both have Leo moons in the seventh house. It's just complete coincidence. The moon, when I checked just a little earlier, was in Libra, but it'll be moving out of Libra into Scorpio later on today. And the house placement, again, Michelle, is dependent on your own rising sign. All right. So, Sybil, if you're still here, Michelle, if you're still here, if you have questions, I have some questions that Jeff got for me collected. Let me see if I see anything from Sybil or Michelle. I know you had a question about Mars in Aries. At the very beginning of this, I talked a little bit about Mars in Aries, but it not necessarily specifically about people who have natal Mars in Aries. I know I hear you've been already feeling this like motivation to release and like get things going. And so Mars is just going to be Mars is going to be amplifying that for you. It's going to be in better alignment. I would love for you to kind of look at what degree your Mars in Aries is, and then you can follow Mars's track it through an ephemeris. Like if you go onto like astro.com, you can find an ephemeris and see, you can track where Mars is day to day. Let me see if I can show you something. You know, I have these ephemerises printed out in a book just so that I can review them quicker. I don't know if you can see this tiny, tiny print, but it has every single day, and you can see where Mars is, and you can see what degree it is. And you want to look at where, when it comes into like 1 or 2 degree orb of your natal Mars, and that's going to give you like, oh, okay, these days are like extra powerful with your, it'll be like your Mars return. So a Mars return is like your Saturn, like your sun return. Your solar return is your birthday. So when Mars meets the place that it was in your natal chart, it's just kind of like this extra spark of energy. All right, so let's see. Lynn says, my moon is in Libra in the second house, and moon in Libra, sun Cancer, rising Virgo. I want to get into home decorations. Oh my God. Well, yeah, like that sounds perfect for you. So our moon sign, right? I'll say this over and over again. So, um, you know, forgive me if I'm just repeating the same things over and over again, saying in different ways. Our moon sign is like our interior life, right? And yes, it is the ruler of Cancer, and Cancer is our home. It is not just like our physical home, but it's our emotional security. And so oftentimes when we're running our businesses, if we are not operating from this place of emotional security, then we tend to make decisions that are based on fear instead of based on inspiration. And then we end up making decisions that sometimes sabotage us or work against our what we're trying to do. This, even though taking risks is scary, right? That anxiety, if we can turn that into excitement versus fear, we can make better decisions. And so one of the most important reason why we look at our moon sign in our brands and our business is to face our fears. Now, with your moon sign in Libra in the second house, it comes super, super naturally for you to add value, right, to your house, to make things beautiful and peaceful and artsy, Libra, and to make this place very nurturing and safe, your moon sign, right? But with your sun in Cancer, already you have more nurturing aspect, and you're rising, so having a beautiful organized home is also probably really important for you. I would love to see you going into home decor, home organization, home creating living spaces for people that hold space, make it feel like a family, you know, regardless if somebody has a family that is like just free of clutter and full of love, right? So I hope that serves you, Lynn. I think that would be beautiful based on the energies that you have given me there. Rita says, I have Jupiter retrograde in Cancer in the sixth house. How is what is going on with Jupiter affect me? Oh, well, you know, Jupiter is in retrograde right now. And you know, Jupiter, unlike Mercury, unlike Venus, unlike Mars, which is the personal planets, when those planets go retrograde, we feel them like in our bones, right? But when Jupiter and Saturn, and then those are the social planets, when those go retrograde, we feel them not so much on this like day-to-day personal level, but more as like us reconnecting and reconsidering our places in society, right? These are social planets. So it's really interesting that, you know, Saturn retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, Pluto retrograde, all of these like collective and universal planets that are going retrograde are just having us reconsider the structures that are in place. So I wouldn't say that Rita, that this is affecting you on a very personal level. That's my take on it. Oh, thank you, Kisha, and thank you, Lynn. Um, oh, I feel the love. All right. So, anybody have more questions? Let me go. Oh yeah, I saw your question there, Lynn, on my list. So let me just get that back. I'm just going through the list that Jeff put together for me. Michelle, did you have a question? Keisha, did you have a question? Otherwise, if you guys don't have questions, I'm gonna go through the list of questions that everybody put, and I am going to put down some time stamps. Oh, Sybil, yes, Sybil. My moon in Cap in the first house sometimes creates this push and pull between my feelings, carrying authority, and seeking authorities outside myself to validate my feelings. Yeah, I'm having a hard time feeling like I've hit on what I want to be doing as I care. Doing as a career. My moon is squaring my 10th house, Libra stellium of Jupiter, Pluto, and Mercury. Oh gosh, yeah. Any guidance for making the most of my stellium and getting my feelings on board. Yes. Oh my gosh. Moon and Cap in the first house. Is Sybil, is your Capricorn rising? Are you Capricorn rising as well? Um So Michelle, I don't have if it was the list, I think Michelle, you were asked. I'll come back to you, Sybil, while I wait for you to write down your rising sign. Michelle, I think I answered the little thing about Mars and Aries. That was your question, right? So Sybil, if your rising sign is also in Capricorn, Sag rising. Okay, good. Not Capricorn rising. Okay. So, Sybil with Sag rising, Capricorn moon in the first house. Yeah. I mean, I think you've answered your question already. You said this push and pull between feelings, carrying authority and seeking authority outside myself to validate my feelings. So, super important for your moon sign in your first house is to recognize that you need to feel in control. You need to feel the authority figure in your life, in your body, in the way that you make your decisions, right? So Capricorn moon, right? I can tell, I just, from being a Capricorn moon, it's an earthy moon. It is, a cardinal moon. Like, you want to be the leader, you want to make decisions, you want to be practical and accomplish your goals. And the way that you need to do that is that you have to give yourself the authority to do that. You need to validate yourself, right? You need to know that you are embodied Capricorn in those decisions, and to using Sagittarius with your rising sign showing up as this inspirational leader, but with Capricorn bringing that inspiration. And what I've been practicing is grounding it into your body, like placing your feet on the earth and saying, is this what I really, really want? Is this what is going to serve me? And then trusting what is coming up, right? And I'm also questioning, right? Questioning is like, is this fear talking, or is this like I'm really gonna do this, right? So Sybil, um, and then also, I know because you have that 10th house Libra stellium, Jupiter, Pluto, Mercury, right? Sometimes when we have a lot of energies in Libra, it's super, super hard to make a decision, right? And in your 10th house of business, right? But with all of those energies in your 10th house, you have capacity to expand your career and your public platform, to transform and regenerate your career over and over again, Pluto, and to speak in your business. So doing, things like marketing or doing communications as your career, being a speaker, being a writer, like actually delivering using communications are all these places that are really good energetically making those decisions because you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, that Libra sometimes cannot make a decision, right? Going into your emotions, going into your self authority, right? You know the answer, Sybil. Self authority, stepping into your body to make those decisions. Okay, I hope that serves you, Sybil. Oh my gosh. So, let's see, going down. Jenna says, any insights for Virgo 12th house during this time? I know me and Asha have this placement. Virgo 12th house, Jenna, where is your moon again? I wanted to focus on the moon sign. So let me see. I have your chart, Jenna. So let me just bring it up 1 second. Oh, yes, 12th house. Right, Virgo. 12th house, Virgo moon. Duh. All right. So, yes. So, 12th house, for any of us that have energies in the 12th house, as it returns to the first house, is this house of rebirth, almost like getting ready to be born again, right? Traditional astrologers will talk about the 12th house as, this place of similarly to the 8th house, this place of secrets, this place of like institutionalized, so like hospitals, prisons, and all that stuff. I don't got room for that kind of thinking. The way that I see the 12th house in this empowering way is this: how do we bring freedom? How do we bring flow? How do we bring connection to the infinite, right? 12th house is ruled by Pisces. It's this super imaginative, super mystical place. So with your moon in Virgo, looking at like, what is your motivation? What is your why? How do you need to feel to be emotionally secure? Virgo is about wholeness. Virgo is about being healthy in mind, body, and spirit. So, with your emotional, intuitive sense, when you are completely aligned, when you are complete mind, body, and spirit, you have this capacity to bring so much ease and flow into your life. And that the more ease and flow that you have in your life, the more equipped you are to get things done. I mean, you are already motivated. You have, Mars in your first house, right, on your ascendant. So there's no problem about you taking action, but it's like now this is about judging whether or not this action will add to the ease and flow that you need to operate from this place of peace and wholeness. Jenna, did that serve you, Jenna? Did that answer your question about the 12th house Virgo moon? Yeah, Virgo moons, like they need to feel healthy. They need to feel organized, right? Even, like watching you on Zooms and stuff, your space is always like perfect. It's like so well curated. And I feel that if you curate your internal life the same as you have your external life, things are going to be really emotionally um aligned for you. Yay, you're welcome, Jenna. Doo-doo-doo. All right. Um, okay, Aries said, just joined, don't know what's happening. Taurus moon, Leo rising, Aries sun. Aries, if you have a question about your moon sign, please ask it here about your Taurus moon. And Michelle, great. Mercury midpoint in retrograde. What do we look for in our natal charts that shows us how to best use our brand voice, or where to narrow down how we present our brand? Yeah, so Mercury is going to be combust tomorrow. I talked a little about it in the very beginning. I was curious, do you have a moon question? Because we're focusing on the moon today. Because we have the podcast that just dropped, how to use your moon sign in your brand. Now, with our brand voice and how do we be present in our brand, we do actually depend on our moon sign, because our moon sign gives us that emotional security so that we know how we want to be recognized. We know how we need to feel emotionally secure to do those big things. And when we feel aligned and integrated with our moon sign, knowing, like sometimes I get this a lot from people when they recognize their moon sign. They're like, oh, but my moon sign wants to, wants to be first. Like if you have an Aries moon sign, and I'm like, I give permission to people with Aries moon sign to like, yeah, be first, don't apologize for being first. Like that's what you really want. And they're like so relieved to have their permission, because we've been taught like, oh, as a woman, let people go ahead of you, right? You don't need to be first. That's not polite as a woman. But if you're an Aries moon, like that emotionally security, like, yeah, me first, right? And so when we know what our moon sign really needs, and then we can validate that instead of just like dismissing it because we've been taught that it's not good, then we can start to feel more authentic. And the more secure, emotionally secure that we feel, that just emanates from us. It's like this illuminating glow, like literally illuminating, right? Like the moon doesn't have its own source of light, but the more that you can shine light on it and live in the highest expression of our moon, then people will see us, will get a sense of us being much more aligned, embodied, authentic, whatever, whichever of those words resonate most with you. Let's see. Um, so your Cancer moon, I feel it's so emotional. How can I serve my voice without being overly emotional? Yes. So that's a really amazing question, Michelle, because there's also, who else has a Cancer moon? I think it's Janine that has a Cancer moon. People with Cancer moons are so beautifully emotional. And because it hasn't always been safe with to be emotional, right? Like if most of us have had some kind of corporate job, and it's like, oh my God, do not be emotional. Like, don't ever show your feelings. That's totally vulnerable. And so we've been taught to keep our emotions in and to like not show any emotions, or to like hide from our emotions because they will be perceived as a weakness. Now, if you can see and give yourself permission as being this emotional voice, as being proud of like, yeah, the littlest thing brings a tear to my eye. I know that when I have a tear in my eye, that this piece of information, this knowing, just sets my being like on vibration, on fire or something. Yeah, that's the thing with the scared of emotions. And I notice with a lot of Cancer moon people, it's like they hold on to their emotions because they can't let anybody see their emotions, because they don't want to, they've been either taught that it wasn't okay to cry, like, like, don't be so sensitive, don't be such a girl, don't be this, right? We tend to move away from the Cancer moon. But if we can have the emotions, if people with Cancer moons can embrace this beautiful sensitivity that they have, and then instead of hide it, or instead of trying to push it away, but instead embrace it and show, like, as we work for ourselves, as we become more entrepreneurial, as we learn to see the beauty and strength and soft power, then we can use our tears as this healing, transformative, nurturing tool. It's like, if, like, for example, something that's coming to me, it's like if you're working one-on-one with a client, and you just like, just set up the expectations. Well, when you work with me and I start crying, you know that you're doing something right, right? Using the power of the perceived weakness as like, no, actually, this is not a weakness. This is a strength. If I cry, this means that it's super important. This means it's super powerful. So, yes, use your Cancer moon. Give yourself permission to be 100% emotional. Give yourself the power to know that when you cry, that it's this beautiful thing that shows you that you are on the right direction, right? When you cry, it is a sign. It is like this billboard flashing in the sky like, Michelle, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. For all of you Cancer moons out there, all right? Oh, beautiful, Michelle. I know during our Astro Brand reading, it's like when people do cry when they're on Astro Brand readings with me. And I mean, I cry during sessions also. And I know that when people cry, that means that it is touching this super deep part and that there's meaning, it matters, right? And to see that as a gift. Ah, beautiful. All right. So going back up. Um, awesome. Cherry says, I have Moon in Sagittarius, 8th house, conjunct Jupiter and Uranus. Whoa. Okay, another 8th house moon. So similar to all these Cancer moons, everybody who has 8th house moons, holy smokes. Okay. Pisces 8th house moon, Sagittarius, it doesn't matter what sign your 8th house moon is. If you have an 8th house moon, it is your responsibility to get in touch with your intuition. You have a superpower, that an emotional connection to being able to transform. Again, just like emotions and like crying, we have been taught to that. Crying is a weakness. It is not. We've been taught to not trust our emotions because, the patriarchy doesn't want women using their emotions, right? And so when I see 8th house moon, holy smokes, your moon is already the emotional, intuitive energy in ourselves. And in the 8th house, this 8th house is this place of healing. It's a place of alchemy. It's a place of transformation. So, Jupiter and Uranus. So, your intuitive ability, when you tune into it, when you trust it, it is like superpowered. Whatever you focus on in your intuition will expand. That's Jupiter. Now, Uranus, I've talked to some people who was it? I think Christine had Uranus. Really lots of Uranus. Uranus, your intuition probably feels like an electrical jolt in you, where whenever you have Jupiter and Uranus on top of each other, it's like expect the unexpected. It's like this electrical shock. And and then also in Sagittarius, so it's like sometimes it's like you're going to be feeling these like crazy like explosive emotions and intuitions, and instead of like trying to dismiss it and say like, whoa, or like, probably if you had that experience when you're a little child, your parents or your loved ones are like, hold on, Cherry, like chill the F out, right? Um, but now that you're a grown up and now that you can be mindful of this energy, how do you tap into use this really powerful energy to help you make those decisions? That's super exciting. Yeah, like the patriarchy does not want us to use our power. Oh my gosh. Oh, Michelle, that's so beautiful. Years of criticism. Yeah, I mean, that is so common. Like, I have heard this over and over again. And the people that have Cancer moons, it's so beautiful to see their emotions and to not be ashamed of them and to use them as a superpower, because that's what it is. Right. So I don't, going back to Cherry, Cherry, did you get that? So, Sagittarius 8th house conjunct Jupiter and Uranus, like your emotions are on fire, woman. And so learn how to focus that energy so it doesn't burn out like a wildfire. It doesn't burn out like the crazy fires that happened in Sonoma in the wildfires last year, because of electrical spark, like the wildfire just like destroyed billions of dollars of worth of property. You have this ability, make it into a container and use it as laser focus. You have so much power. Oh my gosh. Oh, good, Cherry. I hope that resonates. All right. So who else is here? So Aries says, how does my moon play out in my brand pricing? Oh my gosh. Yes. So let me go look up what you asked. What you told me what your moon was, Aries. Aries, you said you have a Taurus moon. Yes. Okay. Pricing. Taurus moon pricing. Okay. So everybody here, pricing and moon side. If you can already see the connection and probably guess what I'm going to talk about, when we feel emotionally secure by tapping into what our moon sign wants to be recognized, wants to feel, what success feels like, okay? What success feels like, tap into your moon sign. I'm going to write that down. What does success feel like? I have to write these things down because sometimes when I'm talking, the words that come out of my mouth, I have been practicing channeling, and oftentimes when I'm talking about astrology, I'm getting all of these downloads, and I'm like, whoa, that was good. So I have to write this down. So, what does success feel like? Is totally comes from your moon sign, Taurus moon. It is a fixed moon, so meaning you love to go deep and problem solve and really like not like, figure things out. And it is an earth sign. So, earth sign is very practical, it's very grounded. Taurus is patient, it is peaceful, it is loving, it is the embodiment of worthiness. Okay. When you know those things about yourself and how you want to be recognized, how you desire to feel nurtured, Taurus is also one of those signs that are very like sensual. They love feeling good, right? So, when you want to feel successful, maybe you put on your best clothes, your most cozy clothes that make you feel good. Or, if you love name brands or luxury brands, like put on the Gucci, put on the put on whatever brands that you connect with. Um, so yeah, so when you want to do pricing, you have to look from it from like what is going to make you feel worthy. What is going to make you feel peaceful? Because if you're working in mental health consulting, right? You have to put so many barriers up so that you can keep your own mental health. If you know what success means to you, if you know what peace feels like to you, then what price do you need to charge so that you can feel at peace, so that you can feel worthy, right? So, pricing for all of us, there are several other aspects that do with pricing, but where pricing comes in from the moon sign is about what we need to feel successful, right? Delivering like your 10th house, your midheaven also has to do with pricing. Like, for example, if you have like Leo at the 10th house and your midheaven, you can have like really elite pricing. You're meant to work with like people who want like very high end luxury. If you have like Pisces on the 10th house, like this is kind of like all access. You want to have like a little bit pricing that just allows a lot of people to come in. But for the moon sign and pricing is about what you need to feel, what you need to feel to be recognized, to feel success. Oh, so you have Taurus also in the midheaven. If the moon is Taurus, is peaceful, what are the other moon signs? One word. Um, so that's a good question. Michelle, in the challenge that we had, how to read your natal chart for business in the PDF, the archetypes, there's one mantra for each one. Take a look for that one because the archetypes are all of the zodiacs, all the archetypes are the same, but then now it's through the filter of the planetary energy, and because the moon is the emotional, intuitive energy, emotionally, if you have a Taurus moon, emotionally, you need to feel peaceful. Cancer moon, like you, emotionally, you need to feel nurtured, right? That's just how that works. All right. Question. So Ari, I hope that. Oh, Oh, Ariel, that's you. I just scrolled over and I saw the tactful the tax disruption. Hi, Ariel. So yes, so yeah, pricing is for you. Yeah, the value. I'm trying to remember. Did I do your chart? Can't remember. Um, so Taurus midheaven, it's also about building worthiness. It's about building so much more. It's not coming to me in my mind right now. Um, Rita, my moon is in Aquarius. Do I need to feel free through my pricing? Um, yeah, with your moon in Aquarius, you need to feel like you're doing like you're tech savvy, like you're innovative. So through your pricing, you need to feel that you can break free. Like you don't have to charge the way other people charge. You get to feel you get to charge how create an innovative pricing structure. It's not necessarily about like how do I price, but it's about what does success feel like for me? How do I need to feel to be recognized, and then adjusting your pricing so that it enables you to feel that way. Oh, great, Ariel. Great, great. All right. So, anybody else on live that I didn't get their questions? Otherwise, I'm going to go through the questions from some of the other posts. I don't know which posts these are from. Doo, 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 doo. Let's see. All right, so I am just going to read through some other questions here. So Selena, let me just check the time here. So this has been 55 minutes and 44 seconds. So I'm gonna speed read through all of these unless anybody has any more questions, but you will probably learn a lot. So Selena asks, I have an intercepted 6th house Virgo moon. Opposite side is 12th house and intercepted Pisces. No personal outer planets. What does it mean to have an intercepted moon, especially a Virgo one? What is typically blocked and what energies can be used to unlock it? And So Selena, your question about intercepted Virgo moon. So with Virgo moon in the 6th house, yeah. Anytime you have a planet intercepted, it means that just accessing those energies, you have to go through a different room. So having your moon intercepted is actually is a challenging energy unless you can know how to unlock it. So right before Virgo is Leo, right? Leo, Virgo. So, in order to access your Virgo moon in the 6th house, you have to go through your Leo doorway, meaning you have to use your sun's creative energy in order to unlock your emotional self. So, more than likely in your daily routine, I would love for you to be doing something that is creative, like starting off your morning practice with doing something like art or creative writing or anything that sparks your Leo. I don't know where your sun is, so look to your sun. Anything that you can do that'll allow you to express yourself through the sun so you can tap into your emotional self. Anytime you feel like you can't access your emotional self or your intuitive self, use your sun, your creative energy, because your Leo 5th house will help you unlock that. All right. Cherry. Oh, we got Cherry ready. Denise asks, I have my moon in Gemini in my 9th house squaring Aries in the 6th house. How can I make use of this to really rise up to the soul of my business? Oh, I love how you explain that. So, Denise, Gemini moon in the 9th house. All right. So, 9th house is, so our moon again, our emotional, intuitive self. 9th house is about our ability to explore, right? So when I see people with a lot of energies in their 9th house, this is anything from higher education to traveling and wanderlust. In business, sometimes this is about public relations and like just getting out to be like this getting the word out further than just like social media marketing, which is kind of talking to like-minded people. In the ninth house, it's about like being the publicist or hiring the publicist, right? So when you have your moon in Gemini in the ninth house squaring Aries and Aries sun in the sixth house, I'm guessing, if this is your question's kind of, I wasn't clear. If your sun is in the sixth house, this is about daily practice. So having a daily practice of leadership, having a daily practice where you are using your Aries energy, but your moon sign says, like, I need to feel free. I need to feel free to say what I want, to talk about what I want, right? So when you're combining those two energies, you want to be combining the fiery me first Aries energy driven with this energy to explore and to be free. So I hope that serves you, Denise. Um, Ariel C says, Scorpio moon in the 10th house for me. How does my moon sign affect how I show up? What strengths of my moon sign can I use? Oh my gosh, yes. So, Scorpio moon, hello. Very, very powerful. Another one of these watery moon signs and in the 10th house. So, I know that I think Ariel does some kind of healing work. And so, with a Scorpio moon, oh my gosh, in the 10th house, she is supposed to be driving emotional alchemy and driving emotional transformation. People with lots of Scorpio, like a lot of Scorpio energies, make really good, not just therapists, not just counselors, but people who are doing the deep, deep emotional work, like bringing up all of the shadows, especially Scorpio, bringing up all of the junk, working on all those kinds of taboo things that have been buried so deep. And Ariel, with it in your 10th house, this means that this is your career. This is how you're supposed to function with your, like, achieving your ultimate mission, delivering in your business. So yeah, tuning into intuition, tuning into the emotional landscape, um, and going deep, right? This is like the emotional sleuth, right? Scorpio moons are also like great detectives. Right? That would be another manifestation of Scorpio moon in the 10th house. So I hope that serves you, Ariel. We already covered Eva. Rika L asks, Moon in Sagittarius, 10th house. Does this mean I'm supposed to teach? Oh, so another 10th house. Yes, so whatever you have in the 10th house, especially if it's your moon sign, it's not necessarily like having you teach, like you feel very emotionally secure when you're operating from this freedom loving Sagittarius. Like Sagittarius teachers are not kind of like, your elementary school teachers, your high school teachers. These are the thought leader teachers. These Sagittarius is like the professor or the guide, the navigator, like taking you on these like big explorations, not just kind of like learning, how to do math or anything like that. And so, um, in a way, yes, if you want to be teaching, to me, the moon is more about like, what do you need emotionally? You need to feel free. You need to feel like you have freedom in your career. You feel like you need to um, feel like you're in this kind of lifelong exploration. And yes, you do deliver it. You do deliver it in your career somehow. And that when you are delivering in that way, you are more aligned. But again, the teaching is more explorative versus just kind of like textbook rote kind of elementary teaching. So I hope that serves. Michelle says emotional sleuths. Oh, yes, that is that Scorpio moons. Yes, for sure. Okay, Horton says, I am a Cancer moon and would like to know how to grow my business. Well, if you listened earlier, I talked about to Michelle about her Cancer moon, and Cancer moons are just like so intuitive, and I find that again this trait of that people with Cancer moons have been taught that they're like too emotional or too sensitive. But when we can really look at these gifts of the Cancer moon and like understand how you need to be recognized, like you do need to be recognized as this like soft and tender and sensitive person. And so when you can give yourself the validation and permission to be your 100% emotional self, Cancer moon, then you're going to feel more aligned. You're going to stop dismissing parts of yourself that you see as weakness, and you can use those perceived weaknesses as the superpowers that they really are, and tell people in your business that you have this exceptional capacity to nurture and to feel. Yeah. Cynthia asks, I'm a Sagittarius moon in the 12th house. My midheaven is in the 11th house. Oh, that's whole. This is like probably whole sign or equal house. I'm just going to focus on the Sagittarius moon. So earlier I was talking about the Sagittarius moon. You need to feel free. I have a Sagittarius moon too. It's in the 6th house. So 12th house, even more so, you need to feel that there's ease and flow and you're connected to the infinite. For me, Sagittarius moon is like, I need a daily practice of freedom, right? I need a daily practice of exploring. And sometimes I can't go out and about. So how do I do my exploration? Well, there's a moth in front of me. How do I do my exploration? Well, I have to do the deep dive and do like these deep meditations when we are sheltering in place. And I can't be at a beach in Kauai, which this has been the longest time that I've been away from Hawaii. It's hurting my soul. So Sagittarius moon in the 12th house. Yes. So freedom. You need to feel freedom. And when you feel success through that freedom, that is going to give you insight as to how you need to rework your business, rework your career so that you can feel free to bring ease and flow, retreat, so I can see you building a retreat center in Kauai that I will come visit every time I come to Hawaii. All right, that was for Cynthia. I am going to, oh my gosh, there's so many questions here. I'm not going to be able to get through everybody, so I am so sorry. I will answer one more. Let me choose to make sure that I pick one that I am going to be talking about something a little bit different than what I've already been talking about. This is actually perfect for the last question. I'm laughing because this question is like perfect. Nina says, Moon in Gemini in 4th house. I don't even know what to ask exactly. Whatever you think is key or important to know, I'm open. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Michelle says, even hearing how you activate knowledge for others is nurturing. Yes, I feel this is definitely one of my gifts is these speed readings. I love these. Nina, I'm laughing because your Gemini moon in the 4th house says, I don't even know what to ask exactly, right? That's like classic Gemini moon, right? Gemini is like, it wants to know everything. It wants all this information and it just doesn't even know how to process the information. And then it's like, am I making the right decision? Is this the right strategy? Is this the right words? Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to ask anymore. And it's in your emotional house. 4th house is ruled by Cancer. It is ruled by the moon, and the moon is your emotional self. So you asking this question, I don't even know what to ask exactly, is like your Gemini moon speaking loud and clear through the 4th house. The key for you is to stop. The key for you is to center. It's to go inward and to really access your emotions. Even the way I was talking earlier was talking through talking through the filter of Gemini moon. It's like, it's all over the place. It's so scattered, right? I had a yoga teacher, and one of my favorite yoga teachers, and then she moved to San Luis Obispo and she doesn't do online yoga. And oh my God, it makes me so sad. But every time we came into yoga class, and she had her class at 8 p.m., after work, this is before I had kids, after work, when everybody is working so hard, and she had us come and sit there, and she's like, before she would even start into the flow of everything, she's like, okay, everybody, bring yourself in, gather all of your parts, bring them into your body, gather your mind, bring them here. All of those things that you're also spread out, bring them, gather them here. Nina, for you, it is so important for you to gather all of those energies and center them into your heart, fourth house. Get in tune with what your heart is asking you, what your heart wants you to know. Because let me tell you, your heart already wants to know, and it's your moon, your Gemini mind thinking that it needs to know all these things. And it's like it's kind of shutting out your heart, right? Your heart already knows. So gather all your energies, bring it into your heart, get really still, and listen. Anyway, that's the last one I have for everybody. I'm going to write down Nina's. I'm sorry for everybody else who I didn't get to your questions. This was super, super exciting. I will make this, I will try to do this once a month and bring in people's questions about the theme. You know, in July, in my paid group, Luminary Rising, we are working on our moon sign. It's called, the theme of July is facing your fears, right? If you are interested in taking a deep dive into facing your fears in the month of July, I would love to invite you. Normally, of course, my membership, you can join for a quarter, you can join for a year, but because the moon sign is so important, oh, excuse me, oh, release. Because the moon sign is so important, and you want to join just for the month of some really deep work with our moon sign so that we can build this place of emotional security so we can go out and take those risky moves, let me know. I would love to invite you for just the month of July. Each week there is an assignment. And then we also have summer reading for the month of July. And there is a whole set of video trainings about your moon sign, facing your fears, looking at your metrics, looking at your money stories, all of those things. We do them together as a group because that is how you make real change, is when you do these things with community. Oh my gosh. Um, Excellent. Oh, Rita and Michelle and Sybil and Karen, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. Again, Luminary Rising, if you want to just join for the month of July, we're taking a deep dive all on our moon sign. So I would love to have you, if even just for the month. Of course, there's always deep astrology, lots of integrative work, and a beautiful international community. We have people from Canada and New Zealand, and of course, here in the United States. All right, loves, have a beautiful time. If you found this helpful, please invite your friends into the Savvy Luminary or share my podcast episode. However, you feel that you would love to give back, I am forever grateful. All right, thank you, everybody. Bye.